CNC tutorial video 1. I'm going to show you how to, from a completely turned off machine, get it on and ready to program. So your first step, you're going to want to activate the electrical system with this switch. And then upon doing that, your computer will activate. You'll also see some lights turning on your remote controller over here. So here we have the desktop. Down here, we have Maestro Active. This is your center for all of the operations of the machine. Wait for this to load for a while. So the current default login is Jackson. The password is 1234. All right. So you'll first see up here, these red dots mean that these need to be attended to. This one refers to the air compression. So what you'll want to do is go down here to this key, and that can just pop right out of there. You want to have it aligned with this 0 here. It goes right in there. You're going to want to turn just the key to the right and back, and you'll hear the air start to activate. And while the compressor prepares itself, you got to wait until this red dot turns blue. And sometimes that can happen immediately. Sometimes it takes a second. It seems to be taking a second right now. You just want to wait until that happens. It's a bummer it didn't happen immediately for video length purposes, but it's a good example of how it can take a little bit of time sometimes. There we go. So now, this means that you have errors present. And this is your error menu. Machine switched off and performance access reference. So first, anytime that you want to clear errors, you look down at these buttons. You want to press this button and then hold down this button. You'll hear a beeping and it'll clear your errors. So now that's blue. And the performance access reference error is due to we need to perform a calibration. So we click this, press the cycle button to perform the calibration. Now the cycle button refers to this play button here on your remote control. You press that, you'll see that it's calibrating, and now you're good to go. So you can minimize this error window. And there is an active error right now. It's because we need a new connector for one of the emergency stop buttons. But it doesn't hinder from the actual operations of the machine. It's just a faulty signal, and that's also why you see a red blinking there. So to begin loading a program, you go down here to this bottom left icon, and this will load up your queue. You can click to load a program, and then from here you have access to your desktop and downloads and other various folders. You'll find, click on this. Well, let's do a different file. And you'll get a little preview of your file, including its dimensions for the workpiece and the tools required. And you'll press load. Here, you can set your offsets. Here you have your actual workpiece dimensions, but these are offsetting from the 0 point where your program will actually start. The 0 point is the bottom left here. Well, we'll get to that in a moment. But say you put in an inch in the X, it would start its cuts an inch over from this 0 point determined by these pistons that'll come up. And the Z offset is very important. That will be the thickness of your spoil board. Because 0 is right here at the metal line of the table. So your Z offset will be whatever the thickness of this spoil board is. And a good best practice is to keep it written up here. So we'll put in 0.762. Over here is your work area. We're set to HG, meaning the vacuums will activate in this area of the table. But what you generally want to do when you're working on your spoil board is to set it to EH. And that'll give you a preview of that. You have your tools required menu. Type of locking. You always want this to be set to vacuum devices if you are using the vacuum table. If you need to clamp something down or do it a different way, then you'll change that setting. And then, once you have your program loaded, well, I'm going to put in a Z offset of 1.5 inches so that this won't actually perform any cuts. So once all of that is set correctly, you'll hit load. And we didn't change back to HG, so it's expecting to be on HG. Actually, let's change that back. You just hit the trash can up there if you want to delete your program. Do it again. Oh. Silly, silly, silly. Change our work area to EH. Now you can see by these blinking lights that your program is ready to run. But first, you have to come over here. One thing I almost forgot. The vacuum table will not work until you go over here, press this little side icon, bring up this menu, and you have to activate vacuum pump 1 and 2. And you'll hear them turn on. You just activate them with a click. Once that's finished, you'll come over here and you want to activate this switch by turning it to the left to first bring up your pins. Now this is the 0 point that we were talking about. When your piece is against this set of pins as far as it will go, and this set of pins as far as it will go. Now this has already been cut with an 1/8 inch offset, so it's not right up against them, but it's an 1/8 inch away. So after that, you have to activate this switch a second time, and that will activate your vacuum. You see that light turn on, meaning that it is performing the suction properly. If this light doesn't turn on, what it means is that you do not have enough surface area of the board covered. So if you're doing a very small piece and only sucking that down, one way that you can get around not covering enough surface area is by simply placing other pieces on the board to cover up more of the vacuum. Once that is done, you can press any of these blinking green lights. You can press that one. You can press that one. Or you can press one of these two. Once you do that, your pins will go back down and the machine will begin working. Now we're going to stop this, and the way to do that is to simply press pause on your remote controller. Now the machine has stopped running. And if you need to stop a program and unload it, you press that pause button, and then you'll press this blue button, and you can either restore or restart. I'll do restore, and now you can trash your program and potentially load a new one. Or, now this program is locked now because we already loaded it, so if we open up this edit menu, everything is grayed out. You can't change anything. So you'll have to trash it. And once you are finished with your program, the machine will park itself over there, and you first want to deactivate the vacuum by turning this switch to the right, and the light will go off. And then you don't necessarily have to do this, but it generates a lot of heat if you don't. You'll want to turn off your vacuum pumps. Rinse and repeat.